Ukrainian drone strikes deep into Russia show no sign of slowing. Overnight, a luxury complex in Odintsovo near Moscow was hit, while a major fire erupted at the Avangard plant in St. Petersburg, key to Russia's defense electronics. Despite the damage, Russia's Ministry of Defense insists all 48 drones were shot down with no misses. In reality, a fire broke out overnight at the Avangard plant in St. Petersburg, Russia. The facility specializes in the production of microelectronics. According to a report by Astra, the plant is classified as a strategically important enterprise in Russia and manufactures components for the country's defense industrial sector. The fire was reported to emergency services on May 28th at 11:49 p.m. local time. The blaze broke out in a production building of the plant located at 72 Kondratyevsky Avenue in the Kalininsky district. According to the Ministry of Emergency Situations, the fire originated on the 5th floor of a 6-story building. The affected area covered approximately 100 square meters. 11 units of equipment and 41 firefighters were deployed to extinguish the large blaze. It took them approximately 6 hours to fully contain the fire. The cause of the fire is currently unknown, and no casualties have been reported. Russian sources claim that the incident is not related to an airstrike. JSC Avangard is a major scientific and production enterprise in Russia, specializing in the manufacture of radio electronics, microcircuitry, instrumentation, as well as structural frameworks for radio electronic equipment. It holds the status of a federal scientific and production center and is included in the list of Russia's strategic and system-forming enterprises. In 2014, a Microsystems Technology Center was established on the basis of JSC Avangard. On the morning of May 28th, drones targeted the Elma Technopark in Zelenograd, part of the Moscow metropolitan area. At least one building was damaged as a result of a warhead explosion and the ensuing fire. Additionally, Ukrainian strike drones hit the Russian Kronstadt drone manufacturing plant in the Moscow suburb of Dubna. Local footage captured the impacts. Russian air defense in the Moscow region shoots down a drone over a residential area, causing it to crash onto a high-rise building. The General Staff of Ukraine confirms defense forces struck key Russian military-industrial targets. In Dubna, Moscow Oblast, SSO and SBU hit Kronstadt, producer of combat drones like Orion and Sirius, and the Raduga missile plant, manufacturer of KH-101-555 and KH-59. Additional hits were confirmed on Angstrom Microelectronics Facility and the Dmitrovsky plant, Ivanovo Oblast, which supplies explosives and rocket fuel additives. Reconnaissance by the Shadow Unit's Shark drone identified 2 book systems, a Tor system, and a mobile group. One book was destroyed by a loitering munition from the 14th Separate UAV Regiment, while the Tor was damaged by friendly fire. A second drone also eliminated an UAZ transport with personnel. The Ukrainian-developed Shark drone, operated by the Shadow Unit, is a pivotal asset in modern warfare. Equipped with a 30x optical zoom camera and AES-256 encrypted communication, it can penetrate up to 80 kilometers behind enemy lines, even under electronic warfare conditions. Recently, during a reconnaissance mission, the Shark UAV identified and facilitated the destruction of 2 Russian Buk air defense systems and a Tor system, showcasing its effectiveness in neutralizing high-value targets. With its ability to operate in GPS-jammed zones and deliver real-time intelligence, the Shark drone gives Ukraine a critical edge. If you were the Russian authorities, what would you do for victory? I would stop the war altogether. Russian Z-blogger Maxim Kalashnikov went to the front line in Russia's Kursk region and interviewed a Russian officer who said that the war must be stopped. It makes no sense. This mass slaughter must be stopped. In terms of defense, yes, we can still do something, but in terms of offensive, we need additional forces and reserves. I would stop the war.
Продолжать вот эту вот массовую бойню, когда ничего стратегически уже не изменится, по большому счету, тоже уже нельзя. Вот. Нужна передышка, чтобы, в общем-то, что-то попасть.
В обороне гораздо проще, чем в наступлении.
Ну, согласен.
Поэтому, в плане обороны, да, мы что-то еще можем сделать. В плане наступления нам нужны дополнительные силы и резервы.
Что мы сейчас в первую очередь сделали для того, чтобы для победы?
Прекратил войну вообще. К сожалению, эта война не имеет конца, пока мы тупо друг друга не убьем. Они же такие же, как мы, они же не сдадутся.
Да, я понимаю.
Но они не сдадутся, и мы не сдадимся. И пока мы друг друга не убьем, либо не покалечим до того уровня, что придет третий враг и убьет нас обоих. Когда вы мне задали вопрос, что бы сделал я бы просто сказал: все, стой.
Такое интервью, друзья мои, удалось мне взять на Суджанском направлении, в лесу буквально прифронтовом, вот у старшего офицера. Ни часть, ни его имя, ни звание открывать не буду по вполне понятным причинам. Скорее соглашусь с его выводами. Ну, либо надо резко переламывать своим воздушным наступлением эту войну, да, вход войны в нашу пользу, либо прекращать вот это бессмысленное заклание людей с обеих сторон. Потому что у нас был единственный способ, да, не провалить специальную так называемую военную операцию, это подготовить блицкриг. В 2014 году шанс, который тогда открыл Стрелков, упустили, когда можно было сделать все с минимумом вообще потерь, с минимумом крови. В 2022 году надо было блиц готовить. Его не подготовили. Взамен, так сказать, получилось такой Верден 21 века. С огромными, ребята, жертвами. Посмотрите, там сколько тел сейчас только в Курской области лежит. Мы еще передачу снимем, как собирать приходится. В таком случае, в общем-то, освободительный поход, он лишается смысла. Те, кого мы хотим освободить, нас будут ненавидеть. И так уже наломали дров. Нынешняя система, которая существует в Российской Федерации, она обеспечивать такого блица не может.
Back to the front lines. The Russians thought they had hidden their shelter and mortar well, but the Ukrainian drone found them anyway. Ukrainian forces are using drones to locate hidden Russian equipment deep within forests, areas once thought to offer natural cover. Equipped with thermal imaging and high-resolution cameras, these drones scan tree lines and clearings from above, spotting heat signatures or unusual shapes. Once detected, the coordinates are relayed to artillery units or drone strike teams. This method has exposed camouflaged tanks, supply trucks, and air defense systems, turning forests from safe havens into high-risk zones for Russian forces. Some drones even hover silently for hours, tracking movement and waiting for the perfect moment to strike or call in fire. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz remains non-committal on Taurus missile deliveries to Ukraine, saying it's within the realm of possibility, but pointing to long training requirements. Instead, he stresses urgent military aid and deeper cooperation on long-range weapons, agreed during talks with President Zelensky in Berlin. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has held talks with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and discussed the agreements reached between Presidents Donald Trump of the United States and Vladimir Putin of Russia, according to the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov held talks on Wednesday to discuss the agreements reached between Presidents Donald Trump of the United States and Vladimir Putin of Russia, according to the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Rubio and Lavrov also discussed the ongoing war in Ukraine, and Lavrov informed Rubio about the preparation by the Russian side of specific proposals for the next round of direct Russian-Ukrainian negotiations in Istanbul, the ministry said in a statement. And the U.S. State Department informed that Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Secretary Rubio welcomed Russia and Ukraine's exchange of 1,000 for 1,000 prisoners over the weekend. The secretary reiterated President Trump's calls for constructive, good-faith dialogue with Ukraine as the only path to ending this war. In a massive security breach, Russian nuclear weapons infrastructure is exposed online. A massive tranche of over 2 million documents found in a public database sheds light on Russia's expansion and modernization of its highly sensitive nuclear weapons complex. the Danish investigative outlet Danwatch and Germany's Der Spiegel reported Wednesday. The files include detailed blueprints of the Strategic Missile Forces bases near the Orenburg region town of Yasny. The two bases are equipped with the Avangard hypersonic glide vehicle, one of Russia's most advanced nuclear delivery systems. Until now, we have only been able to monitor these bases from above using satellite imagery. Hans M. Christensen, director of the Nuclear Information Project at the Federation of American Scientists, told Danwatch and Der Spiegel. Now, with the help of these unique drawings, we can now for the first time get inside the buildings and all the way underground. It's completely unprecedented. According to Danwatch and Der Spiegel, the documents show how numerous nuclear facilities were torn down and rebuilt with upgraded infrastructure over the past decade, including hundreds of new barracks, control centers, watchtowers, and underground tunnels connecting buildings on the bases. Among the leaked materials are construction plans, security system diagrams, and details of wall signage inside the facilities with messages like "Stop," "Turn around," "Forbidden Zone," "The Military Oath," and "Rules for Shoe Care." Details extend to power grids, IT systems, alarm configurations, sensor placements, and reinforced structures designed to withstand external threats. The documents even list recreational items for soldiers stationed there, including gym equipment and board games like chess and checkers. Material like this is the ultimate intelligence, said Philip Ingram, a former colonel in the British Army's Intelligence Corps. If you can understand how the electricity is conducted or where the water comes from, and you can see how the different things are connected in the systems, then you can identify strengths and weaknesses and find a weak point to attack. Tom Rosseth, a senior lecturer in intelligence studies at the Norwegian Defense Command and Staff College, said that understanding the scale and scope of Russia's efforts to upgrade its nuclear facilities is in the public interest, given the Kremlin's repeated nuclear threats since its invasion of Ukraine. It's important that we have a correct understanding of the situation because there are still many who don't fully recognize the situation Europe is in now, which is a fundamental shift in security policy, Rosseth said. Therefore, it's important to show that Russia has modernized its nuclear arsenal. They have, after all, threatened with nuclear weapons regularly during the Ukraine war. It has public relevance that Russia is capable. And it's even more important because they have adjusted their nuclear doctrine and now have a lower threshold for the use of nuclear weapons, he said. Despite Russia tightening its military procurement rules and creating a closed procurement database accessible only to approved domestic contractors, defense construction officials have continued to attach sensitive documents to public tenders. Danwatch and Der Spiegel discovered sensitive blueprints attached to tenders as recently as mid-2024. Russia's defense ministry did not respond to Danwatch and Der Spiegel's requests for comment.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.